minutes of consulting firm best practices. My name is Maria Isabel Rios. Before we dive into the questions that you have submitted, please add into the comments what is the area of expertise of your firm. As you know, we take questions that you guys submit throughout the week or as comments on LinkedIn, and we answer them to the best of our abilities. So, Jaren, if you can, please put up the first question for today. Thank you. First question is from Ken. How do I handle a miscommunication with a prospect about a pitch? Well, miscommunication is quite a broad term. There are several instances where you could have miscommunication. There could be a miscommunication about the scope of the project they are wanting to get done and the timing. Hopefully not. If you're following the 6 topics of inquiry and you're having a full context discussion, you will know and you will align on those before you actually submit a pitch. If you don't know what I'm talking about or you want to refresh your memory, you can find those in David's Guide to Winning Clients. And there's a whole chapter, there's a downloadable. We're basically asking you to follow a structured discussion around 6 topics. So say there's a miscommunication around timing, around the scope of a project. You go and you have a conversation back with your prospect and you say, look, it looks like we weren't quite as aligned as we wished. Say instead you've submitted the pitch. They approve the proposal and it turns out your expectations around timing were off or around fees were off. Couple points where you can pick this up. Obviously, sooner rather than later, be right side up. It's about your clients and what their understanding is. If you made a mistake, do a mea culpa, right? Acknowledge it, understand where things were wrong, and fix it to the best of your abilities. Understand what the priorities are. Say it was a miscommunication around fees. Understand what their priorities are, realign around those, and rescope your project if you need to. Say miscommunication was around who would be involved in the project. Again, really easy. You have a kickoff meeting, hopefully, as part of your process. Align that before the kickoff. That will surface any miscommunications and you can tackle them as early on. And if you need to, repair your relationship with your client. All right. Jaren's second question, please. Okay, this question is from Sophia. Thank you, Sophia. Some of my contacts aren't decision makers. They are people who talk to a lot of other people, though. Are those contacts worth spending networking time and energy on? In our view, absolutely. If somebody is an influencer, meaning they're not directly able to buy consulting work from you, but they can either influence within their organization or are natural connectors who will introduce you to the right people, to the people who can buy your projects and have that sense of urgency around them, it is worth it having them in what we call your network core, which means you put them on a pace where you're hopefully reaching out to them at least 4 times a year, roughly every 3 months, and you maintain a warm connection. The idea is that you're top of mind for them, so that when they see an opportunity, even if it's not one that they sign, they can refer you to the opportunity, they can talk to decision makers about you, they understand what you're doing in your work. It sounds complicated. Actually, it's a lot easier than what one would think if you have a well-defined target market and scope for your projects. That also gives people ideas. Who is the right person to buy your services? Who will benefit from your specific expertise? And as you're doing that, you're building not only your network, but also your firm, right? You never know where opportunities are going to come out of. We know there are some experts in our field who say, no, you focus solely on the decision maker. Here's where we find common ground with them, and here's where we separate. We find common ground in that if you have to choose, say you have 300 decision makers in your network, which is a really healthy network. Do you prioritize them over the influencers? Absolutely, right? But say your network looks more like the majority of folks that we work with who have a combination of decision makers and strong influencers with warm relationships. Should you be talking to your influencers? Yes, absolutely. This is where we differ. We think influencers can generate a lot of business for you throughout the years, will benefit from your expertise, and will also transparently share advice for you, opportunities to improve your messaging, opportunities to work further along in your own practice, right? To expand your own network. Folks who are great connectors and who have a close relationship with you will highlight an opportunity for a conference, for an industry event, or for a space where decision makers actually meet, and will be happy to introduce you. Those folks are worth it maintaining a relationship with and cultivating that. You're not wasting your time. You're not wasting their time and their energy as well, hopefully. All right. Next question, Jaren, please. Question is from Anna. How should I ask potential clients about their process for onboarding new vendors? All right. I don't want to get stuck in a crazy, drawn-out legal morass after I win a project. Yeah, not a happy place to be. If you anticipate your client being one that has a slowed down procurement process, or if their product teams or if their legal teams want to do a very set onboarding process, start that process as soon as you can. It's healthy, even if you're in conversations, it's looking like you're going to submit a proposal. Ask your contact, who's usually the business owner, and say, look, how does your onboarding process look like for new vendors? How long does it take? Do you know? If they don't know, which in most cases will be the situation where they say, I don't know, right? I know you need to have a vendor number and an approved vendor number with us, and I don't know the details of how to go about it. Ask them to connect you with somebody in the admin part of the business who will walk with you through that process. The idea is that you advance as much as you can so that when the time comes and that proposal is ready to be signed, that MSA is ready to be signed, you are also ready in terms of the paperwork, and you can get the project started in the timeline that benefits the business owners and that will allow you to move on, right? It's also healthy as a sign of you having your own internal processes aligned and your own methodologies aligned, of you understanding this is what it takes to work with clients of your setup, your size, and your industry. And I understand that, and I'm willing to do the admin elements that take to work together with you as a client. So in a sense, it's also right side up. You take that preoccupation off of the table early on. All right. Jaren, can you share the next question, please? This question is from Sam. So the clients wants a starter project that is much smaller than what we would typically take on. It does get our foot in the door. Should we do the starter project? This is an interesting conundrum, especially these times where we find that a lot of folks are reconsidering their consulting spend and they want to test the water. It's a new relationship to you. How do you address it? What we recommend is that you think very hard about what is your firm's minimum. Meaning, what size of a project is so small that will be a distraction for your firm rather than a contribution? If you can fit a starter project at or above your minimum, it's a good way to put a foot through the door, or it may be. A way to do that is to really understand what would it take on behalf of your firm. Say the project is smaller, but you have the systems down, you have your internal processes down, your teams know how to execute, or you yourself have done this before. Is it a project that you will be able to execute successfully at those fees? Yes. In general, we suggest you don't take on projects where you lose money or where you devalue your work. And a lot of folks equate fees to value. Where you don't want to be is in a cycle where folks are saying, okay, Maria Isabel can do this project for, say, $5,000 instead of $10,000 or $12,000 or $15,000, which is how much the project will normally be. And then they equate me to a consultant who can and will deliver projects at a lower fee versus their competitors. So a couple of things to watch out when you're doing projects that are smaller than you normally do. One, do they devalue your work? If they do, then reconfigure the project, understand their objectives very well, and see what you can deliver to their objectives or to your prospect needs, that it's within say a value proposition that it's for at the level that your firm is at. Second is, can you have the project be a representation of what would be an expanded scope of work? Meaning, is it a pilot? Is it contained? How do you reframe the elements of your offering so that you meet the pricing requirements and at the same time you protect the value for your firm and for your cohorts? At the same time, is there an opportunity to, say, land and expand, right? Develop that trust in working with a potential client. That's also something that should be assessed. We do not recommend that you take on projects where you lose money, unless those projects are learning opportunities where you are investing in developing a new methodology or new knowledge, and you know where you will deploy them down the line. In general, look at your minimums, look at value relative to fees, and understand really well, knowing your client's needs, what can you offer that meets their fee requirements and also meets your needs and your value proposition. Important element in all of this, and something that we suggest very strongly, is that when you are offering, you propose options, alternatives. So you can have one option be the option that meets the pricing requirement for your prospect, and the rest of the options be more in tune with what your normal offering would be, within reason. All right, I'm looking at the clock and I know our 15 minutes are almost over. So 3 requests we have of you before we let you go, and thank you for being with us today. First request, if you're not connected with David or with me on LinkedIn, please do so. So David is David A. Fields. I am Marios, M.I. Rios. Please connect with us on this platform, on LinkedIn. Second request that we have from you, if you haven't subscribed to David's articles, which come out every Wednesday, please do so. So go to davidafields.com/subscribe. You're in for a treat. If we can't get a chuckle out of you, then please do it right and let us know. That's the whole expectation. Third request, please submit comments and questions through the week by writing to us at info@davidafields.com. As you saw today, the questions we're answering are questions that you have been submitted. And thank you. Please keep doing that, and we'll see you next week. Bye.